Now you start to mention Texas. You start to mention USC. Now you've got this Michigan. You've got all these different teams, and you're like, where do they land? So let's go 15-1. I'm going to give you my 15 to 11 first. Then we'll get into the top 10. At number 15 in the country, after eking out a victory, like I said, I'm a little more optimistic than others about this team, even though they cannot play this way and feel like they're going to win the rest of their games, and namely the game at the end of the year. Michigan's number 15. So they didn't jump up really anything. They were around there for me last week. So this is not me like passing anybody. I've never given you a 15 to 11. This is about where they were last week, and this is where they are this week. At number 14, I've got Texas just ahead of them. Even with the 3 losses, I still think Texas is just ahead of Michigan because of that youth on the Michigan team. At 13, though, I've got Utah. They beat Baylor 55-28. They've won their last 3 games by 46, 31, and 27. That's a good football team right there. Not a lot of teams want to face this Utah team right now. I don't know if they're going to have enough to get themselves all the way in the playoff, but man, that would be a dangerous playoff team. It really would be. I wouldn't want to see them. They run it too well. USC, after that big win, they're at number 12. Love what they're doing, and they're set up perfectly because now they've got the ammunition in front of them with that Oregon game. If they were 10-2, I think they would go. At 11, I've got BYU. Really impressive response after losing to Texas Tech. They came out there and hammered TCU. That first half, they had like 300 and almost 50 yards in that first half. I was watching that game Saturday night, and they could run it. They were throwing it. It was very, very impressive. Bachmeier is a heck of a player. LJ Martin, that guy can absolutely get it done. They can throw it. Like I said, that's a good football team. Kalani Sitake is as good as anybody in America. Really. He's really, really good. All right, now my top 10. At number 10, after the loss, I go Alabama. Talked about them already. Don't think they're a huge threat to win the national championship, but almost certainly they're going to be in the college football playoff. If they make that SEC championship game, even if they were to suffer a third loss, they would have the 10 wins to offset that. So I think that Bama just needs to take care of business. They should be fine finding themselves in the CFP. At number 9, Notre Dame. What did you expect from Notre Dame and Pitt when the opposing coach, Pat Narduzzi, says we don't care if we win or lose or if Notre Dame scores 110? What a dumb comment. Like, I'm sorry. I know that sounds personal. It's not meant to be personal, but you can't say that as a coach. What are you doing? You can't infuse an excuse into your locker room. What? So Notre Dame took care of business, and rightly so. They're at number 9. Number 8, OU goes up to number 8. Big win. There's OU with that defense. Now, I will say this about OU. My one concern is that they are going to have to play better on offense to be a real threat to contend for a national championship. I love the defense. I love the special teams. But like Bama, you get in a matchup that's not great for you, and it could go the other direction because there's not a ton of answers there, at least right now, offensively. Maybe Mateer will get a little bit better and healthier with that hand as the playoffs were to roll on. I don't know. At number 7, I've got Ole Miss. Hard for me to believe in this Ole Miss team as a national title contender right now, but certainly a playoff team. Not a great performance against Florida. They were in a dogfight against Florida. They were sloppy. They got bailed out by their run game, and Chambliss made a couple of really bad throws, but Ole Miss is a really good football team, obviously. They made plays when they needed to. For the most part, though, like, it was a bit of a distracted team, and that was one of the things that I warned everyone about with this idea that Lane has not committed to Ole Miss yet. Everybody else is taking extensions. Elko now has an extension. You've got who was it? ASU, Kenny Dillingham, not an extension, but kind of this idea of promising that he's going to be around. The longer this goes, the more Ole Miss is going to be distracted. I know I keep saying that, but because it's true. Oregon at number 6. I got Oregon right there after Ole Miss. So Oregon wins it on Friday night. Now they host USC. Watch out for Oregon. That's a team I still feel like Now, listen, USC could go up there and beat them, but Oregon is one of those teams that has answers. They have won multiple different ways. They don't have to play great in a specific area in order to win, which is why I think they can make some noise. At number 5, I've got Texas Tech. That is a complete team. They absolutely buried UCF 48-9, holding another Big 12 team under 10 points. They did it against BYU and now UCF. Sheil Wood is their defensive coordinator. He is absolutely a candidate for the Broyles Award as the top assistant in America. Matt Patricia is going to be a candidate for the Broyles Award as the top assistant in America. But Sheil Wood, you talk about a drastic improvement on defense. They've always been good on offense at Texas Tech. But what he's done on that defensive side is remarkable, obviously with the infusement of all those new players. At number 4, a little change up. Okay, here we go. I want to present some drama here because it's late in the show, but there is some drama here. I moved A&M undefeated down. I moved A&M down because that first half was awful. It was awful. And they come back, and I will give them credit for that because like Michigan, you can look at it 2 ways. Was it gross or was it resilient? And I always try to lean optimistic, and I'm going to with Texas A&M as well. As bad as they were in the first half, you could chalk that up to not being focused and not being ready. But as I think it's as tough as anything to turn that on mid-game, and they were able to do that. And Reed went from playing very poorly in the first half to playing great in the second half. They didn't panic. They didn't, and I mean, it was barely the start of the fourth quarter by the time they were all the way back in that game. And it was like, oh, you see where this is headed. There's no doubt. South Carolina is not a good football team. And they weren't focused early. And it looked like, oh, Mike Elko gets his money and then no. Don't worry. They bailed themselves out. They got to win. And again, I will say when you need it most, can you play great? And they did. For me, Georgia goes up to 3. Georgia is the best team in the SEC right now. They're hard to kill. I don't want to see their quarterback. I don't want to see their coach. They got too much guts. They got too much physicality. I know they're dealing with injuries. Everybody's dealing with injuries. Every single team is dealing with injuries to a very important person on their team. Michigan is, OU is dealing with injuries. Georgia's dealing with injuries on the defensive side. Indiana's got a wide receiver out. Now Ohio State's got both wide receivers that are banged up. Like everybody, Michigan's got their backs out. Everybody's dealing with injuries. So it's not an excuse. No one can use it solely for their own benefit. So Georgia's number 3. I think Georgia is really good. I don't want to see them in the playoff if I'm anybody. Number 2 is Indiana. They beat Wisconsin 31-7. Now they've got a bye. They can get healthy before they finish up their regular season, I believe against Purdue, and then likely the Big Ten championship game. And Ohio State is number 1. Even without Carnell Tate on the field and no Jeremiah Smith late in the game, what did they do? Oh, they just decided to run the football for 6.7 per carry, which is the most per carry UCLA has given up since 2019. And I mean, yes, they've had some great run defenses and everything, but I'm just saying that stat to tell you everyone's been lamenting this idea that Ohio State can't run the football. They run it better against UCLA than anybody has this entire season, including Utah, right? So like, hey, maybe Ohio State can run the football pretty well. They've certainly been efforting that over the last few weeks. And it's not like they've just been sitting there throwing the ball. They also had a nice kick return. I believe that was Lorenzo Styles taking that one back all the way. UCLA was totally overmatched. Nico Iamaleava wasn't on the field. It did not look like that game was in any suspense whatsoever at any point. The starters on defense gave up nothing. Their defense overall gives up 10, barely any yards. Ohio State is number 1. My first team's out so far. And this is now out of the top 15, okay? My first teams out are Vanderbilt, Miami, and Georgia Tech. And there.
Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you like this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.